Welcome to the Explainer. You probably saw the headlines last month about the world's first AI orchestrated cyber attack. The story was that a state sponsored group had weaponized a powerful AI to hack major companies. But was this really the dawn of the autonomous AI hacker? Or is the reality, a little more complicated? Today, I'm going to break down exactly what happened, what it means, and why a hyper intelligent AI might be more like an overeager puppy than some criminal mastermind. Let's start with a pretty stark warning. This came directly from Logan Graham, the head of security at Anthropic. That's their company right at the center of this whole storm. And his point to the policymakers was simple yet powerful. The threat of AI powered hacking, it's not theoretical anymore. It's here and we have to deal with it. So, what happened? Well, in November 2025, the AI company Anthropic announced that it had caught and stopped a major cyber espionage campaign. They were pretty confident that a Chinese state sponsored group was using their AI model, Claude, as a key tool for hacking. And this wasn't some lab experiment, it was a live campaign with real targets. Let's get into the specifics. This group, which Anthropic named GTG 1002, was going after about 30 different organizations. Now, the clever part is how they got around Claude safety features. They did two things. First, they pretended to be a legitimate cybersecurity firm doing a cybersecurity test. And second, they broke down their malicious request into these tiny, innocent looking tasks. If it was a pretty smart trick, and it let them use AI for reconnaissance, for scanning vulnerabilities, and for analyzing data. This was a huge leap in how these tools are being used out in the wild. Now, you probably heard this operation described as largely autonomous with AI doing something like 80 to 90% of the work. And yes, that sounds pretty alarming, but that word autonomous can be a little bit misleading. Now, let's take a closer look at the human element that was still very, very much in charge. When we hear AI powered attack, we imagine some rogue machine making all the decisions on its own. But the reality wasn't an autonomous hacker. It was more like a really sophisticated partnership between human operators and their AI tool. And what's really interesting is that this diagram, which comes directly from Anthropic's own report, it perfectly illustrates the command structure. See, you've got a human operator right at the top making the big strategic decisions and directing this orchestrator system. That system then breaks the command down into smaller tasks for the AI to handle. So the human wasn't just in the loop, they were calling the shots. In fact, humans were responsible for all the most critical parts of the operation. I mean, they built a complex technical framework that made all this automation possible in the first place. They handpicked the targets. They had to give the green light to go from just looking around to actually breaking in. And maybe most importantly, a human expert had to review everything the AI found before anyone took any action. This attack lifecycle chart just drives that point home. At every single key phase, after they did reconnaissance, after they scanned vulnerabilities, and before they try to steal any data, you see these required checkpoint human reviews for findings and directs for further action. So, yeah, less of an autonomous hacker and much more like a human hacker with an incredibly powerful assistant. So, given that a human was still clearly running the show, this whole event kicked off a massive debate. Was this a truly groundbreaking moment in cyber warfare, or was it all just a bit overhyped? Just a new way of using AI tools to do what we already do with existing tools. So, on one side, you have Anthropic and others saying that, hey, take a look at this. This is serial escalation. It proves that AI can automate most of the legwork of a hack, which means sophisticated attacks are now accessible to people with fewer skills. But then on the other side, you had critics pointing out that the report was kind of light on technical details and that the AI wasn't creating some brand new, never before the seen attack. It was just using known exploits and off the shelf techniques. And there's another really fascinating angle to this whole debate. Some researchers like Tiffany Sade over at Cisco started asking why would a sophisticated Chinese hacking group use a high profile American AI model like Claude. They had to know they probably get caught. Her theory, maybe they wanted to be seen. Maybe the hack itself was a geopolitical message designed to create noise and show the world what they can do now. But for all of its power, the AI in this operation had one fundamental weakness that really kept it from being truly autonomous. It's just not always reliable. In fact, as we're about to see, sometimes it just makes plain mistakes and makes things up. This phenomenon has a name, which is AI hallucination. It's a known issue with these big language models, where in its effort to give you an answer, the AI will just confidently state things that aren't true as if they're facts. And in the world of hacking, where every detail has to be precise, that is a huge problem. I really like this analogy from AI expert Albert Sisler. It just explains the problem so perfectly. The AI is eager to please. If you tell it to find a vulnerability, it will come back with something and it will insist that it's what you asked for. But that something might just be a clump of leaves, totally useless data that just kind of looks like the ball you wanted. And this wasn't just a theoretical problem. In this actual campaign, Anthropic saw that Claude would frequently overstate its findings. It would claim it found login credentials that didn't actually work, or it would present public information that's easy to find as some kind of major secret discovery. This unreliability is exactly why that human validation was required at every step. It just puts a hard ceiling on how autonomous these things can really be. So, if it wasn't a fully autonomous super hacker, then what's the real takeaway from this whole thing? What does this attack really mean for the future of cybersecurity? Well, the answer is that AI is replacing humans. Well, the answer isn't that AI is replacing humans, but that it's amplifying them. The real threat here is AI as a massive force multiplier. Anthropic estimated that with this kind of framework, a single human operator could pull off an operation that would normally need a team of about 10 skilled hackers. What that means is that smaller groups can now potentially launch these huge, sophisticated attacks that used to only be possible for big, well funded nation states. It dramatically lowers the bar. But that's only half the story. This technology is a total double edged sword. The very same AI abilities that can speed up an attack are also becoming essential tools for cyber defense. Defenders can use AI to automate threat hunting, to analyze malware, and to respond to incidents way faster than ever before. In fact, Anthropic's own team used Claude all the time to analyze the huge amount of data that this very attack generated. And that leaves us with a big question that everybody in cybersecurity is grappling right now. The proof of concept is absolutely there. AI is going to change the landscape of cyber operations forever. The race is on, not just between attackers and defenders, but between the offensive and the defensive uses of AI itself. The question is no longer if AI will be part of the fight, but on which side it's going to be more effective. A link for the report and the research done for this video on the comments.